Master chocolatier Laurent Dubois had spent 37 years perfecting his craft in Brussels. Trained under Belgium's most celebrated martyrs, chocolatiers, and won the World Chocolate Awards 3 times. His boutique chocolate shop on Grand Place attracted royalty, celebrities, and chocolate connoisseurs from around the world who paid premium prices for his exquisite Belgian chocolates. When he was invited to judge the World Chocolate Masters competition in Paris, he reviewed the competitors with the refined palate that had made him one of Europe's most respected chocolatiers. He paused at an entry that made him raise his eyebrows. A Filipino chocolatier named Maria Cruz from Davao, Philippines, who listed her primary ingredient as single origin Davao cacao. During the competitor's briefing, Laurent overheard Maria discussing her chocolate with another competitor. "I use cacao from my family's farm in Davao. The volcanic soil and tropical climate create unique flavor notes fruity-floral, with natural sweetness that Laurent couldn't help interjecting with the authority of a master, correcting an amateur. Mademoiselle Cruz, serious chocolate requires serious cacao. Belgian chocolate uses carefully selected beans from Ghana, Ecuador, Madagascar regions, with established quality standards. Filipino cacao is rustic, suitable for local consumption perhaps, but it lacks the refined flavor profile required for world-class chocolate." Maria smiled politely, accustomed to this dismissal from European chocolatiers. "Monsieur Dubois, Filipino cacao has won international awards. The terroir in Davao produces beans with complexity," that Laurent interrupted with a condescending smile. "I'm sure it's adequate for your local market, but Belgium has been perfecting chocolate for 200 years. We understand cacao chemistry, fermentation science, roasting profiles, tempering techniques. Philippine chocolate is emerging, charming, certainly, but inferior to European standards. You're competing against chocolatiers who've trained for decades using the world's finest cacao. Your Davao beans simply cannot compete with the quality I use in my Brussels shop." What Laurent didn't understand was that Maria came from 3 generations of cacao farmers in Davao who had been perfecting their craft long before anyone thought Philippine cacao could be world-class. Her grandfather had experimented with fermentation methods for 40 years, discovering that traditional Philippine techniques using banana leaves created flavor profiles European methods couldn't replicate. Her father had studied cacao genetics, selecting and propagating trees that produced beans with exceptional flavor characteristics unique to Davao's volcanic soil. Maria herself had studied food science at University of the Philippines, then apprenticed with master chocolatiers in Switzerland, learning European technique but bringing Philippine cacao knowledge they didn't possess. The chocolate Maria had brought wasn't the mass-produced Philippine chocolate sold in supermarkets. It was single-origin Davao cacao that had been carefully fermented using her grandfather's methods, dried to precise moisture content, roasted in small batches to bring out specific flavor notes, and processed using techniques that preserved the cacao's natural fruity and floral characteristics. The bars she'd created had flavor complexity that European chocolatiers often achieved only by adding ingredients. Maria's cacao was naturally complex, requiring nothing but skilled processing to reveal its sophistication. But Laurent had dismissed it as inferior without tasting it, because his 37 years of experience had taught him that only European chocolate could be world-class. The competition format included preliminary rounds where chocolatiers created specific items, pralines, bonbons, showpieces judged on technique, creativity, and flavor. Then came finals, where judges conducted blind tastings of signature chocolates without knowing origin or maker. Laurent's preliminary rounds were spectacular. His Belgian chocolate pralines were technically flawless. His bonbons showed perfect tempering. His showpiece demonstrated masterful artistry. Judges scored him highly, noting his exemplary technique and the refined flavor of his carefully selected African cacao. Maria's preliminary rounds were also strong. Her work showed solid technique, though judges noted her chocolate had an unusual flavor profile that was interesting but unconventional. Then came the blind tasting finals. Judges evaluated 30 signature chocolate bars, knowing only they were dark chocolate, without information about cacao, origin, maker, or processing method. The chocolates were numbered. Judges scored based purely on flavor, complexity, texture, finish, and overall quality. Laurent approached the tasting with confidence. His signature bar used Ecuadorian cacao he'd been working with for 15 years, roasted and processed to his exacting specifications, representing the pinnacle of Belgian chocolate craftsmanship. Sample 7 was his bar, He tasted it with professional detachment, excellent snap, smooth texture, balanced bitterness with subtle fruit notes, exactly as intended. He scored it highly. Sample 15 made Laurent pause. He broke off a piece, examined the snap and sheen, perfect tempering, professional execution. He tasted it. The flavor was extraordinary. Initial bitterness gave way to unexpected fruity notes, hints of berries, tropical fruit, even floral undertones. The texture was silky, the finish long and complex with layers of flavor that evolved across the palate. This was sophisticated chocolate, as complex as any he'd tasted, but the flavor profile was completely unfamiliar. It wasn't the African cacao character he knew well. It wasn't South American. The fruit notes were different, tropical, bright, naturally sweet, without added sugar. Laurent tasted sample 15 again, analyzing. The processing was clearly done by someone who understood cacao deeply. The roast profile brought out complexity without burning off delicate notes. The conking had developed smoothness without over-processing. The tempering was perfect. But that flavor, he'd never encountered cacao quite like this. He scored it very highly, not perfect, because it deviated from traditional European chocolate flavor expectations, but undeniably exceptional quality. Several other samples in the blind tasting were also impressive, but sample 15 stayed in his mind. When all judges had submitted their scores, the results were tabulated. The tension in the competition hall was palpable as the organizers prepared to reveal results. Third place was announced, a French chocolatier using Madagascar cacao, excellent chocolate, traditional European style. Second place, Laurent Dubois, with his Ecuadorian cacao, Belgian chocolate, superb technique, refined flavor, exactly what European chocolate excellence represented. Then came first place. The organizer announced, sample 15, with the highest combined score from all judges in blind tasting, single origin, Davao dark chocolate, created by Maria Cruz, Philippines. The room erupted in applause. Laurent sat frozen. That couldn't be correct. The chocolate he'd praised for its exceptional complexity and sophistication was made from the Philippine cacao he'd called inferior. Impossible. But Maria was called to the stage, and the organizers confirmed the Davao cacao Laurent had dismissed as rustic and suitable only for local consumption had just won the World Chocolate Masters in blind tasting, including receiving high scores from Laurent himself. After the ceremony, Laurent approached Maria, his professional pride warring with genuine confusion. Mademoiselle Cruz, I must understand something. I tasted your chocolate in preliminary rounds, knowing it was Philippine cacao, and I found it acceptable but unusual. Then in blind tasting, I praised the same chocolate's sophistication and complexity. I scored it highly because the quality was undeniable. How is Philippine cacao achieving this flavor profile? How does Davao cacao compete with the world's finest origins? Maria invited him to sit, and with patience born from years of being dismissed by European chocolatiers, she explained, Monsieur Dubois, you assumed Philippine cacao must be inferior because we're not a traditional chocolate country like Belgium or Switzerland. But cacao is native to tropical regions. The Philippines has ideal growing conditions. Davao has volcanic soil, consistent rainfall, perfect temperature range. Our cacao isn't inferior, it's different. Those fruity notes you found unusual, they're natural characteristics of Philippine cacao varieties growing in our terroir. The floral undertones, that's from our traditional fermentation using banana leaves, which my grandfather perfected over 40 years. European cacao might never taste like Davao cacao, just like Davao cacao won't taste like African cacao. Neither is inferior. Both are excellent when properly grown and processed. She continued, you have centuries of Belgian chocolate tradition, beautiful technique, refined processes, but you've been working with cacao from the same traditional origins, Ghana, Ecuador, Madagascar, for so long that you assume those are the only flavors fine chocolate can have. Philippine cacao challenges that assumption. We have different terroir, different varieties, different processing traditions. Not worse, monsieur, different. And in blind tasting, without your preconceptions about where good cacao must come from, your palate recognized quality. Your prejudice had blinded you too. Laurent sat quietly, processing. I have 37 years as a master chocolatier. I've sourced cacao from every major origin. I've tasted thousands of chocolates, but I couldn't recognize exceptional cacao when it came from a country I'd dismissed. I called your Davao cacao inferior without properly evaluating it because I assumed Philippine chocolate couldn't compete with European standards. But in blind tasting, My palate told the truth. Your cacao has complexity and quality equal to the best I've worked with. I just couldn't see it past my prejudice. He looked at Maria. You taught me something important about chocolate, that 37 years in Brussels didn't, that cacao excellence isn't limited to traditional origins, and that sometimes the most sophisticated chocolate comes from places the industry has overlooked because we were too busy celebrating the places we already knew. The competition results sent shockwaves through the chocolate world. Serious chocolate publications had to reconsider their assumptions about cacao quality. Was it really limited to traditional African and South American origins? Or could the Philippines produce world-class cacao? Laurent, returning to Brussels, did something that shocked his colleagues. He began importing Maria's Davao cacao to create a new line of Philippine origin chocolates in his boutique. The first time he presented it to regular customers, describing it as single origin Davao cacao, with exceptional fruity and floral notes. Some were skeptical. Philippine chocolate? I've never heard of that. But the chocolate spoke for itself. Sophisticated palates recognize quality, even when it came from unexpected origins. Within a year, Philippine cacao was being featured in international chocolate magazines. Filipino cacao farmers who'd been told their beans were only suitable for local industrial chocolate suddenly found European chocolatiers interested in their single origin products. Maria's family farm expanded operations, but she maintained traditional methods: her grandfather's banana leaf fermentation, careful bean selection, small batch processing that preserved the natural characteristics that made Davao cacao distinctive. 2 years after the competition, Laurent invited Maria to Brussels to collaborate on a special chocolate collection, combining Belgian technique with Philippine cacao. Standing before European chocolate connoisseurs, Maria presented chocolates made from Davao cacao, alongside Laurent's traditional Belgian chocolates, demonstrating how Philippine cacao could create flavors European origins couldn't achieve. Laurent introduced her. This is Maria Cruz, the chocolatier who taught me that I didn't understand cacao as well as I thought. I had defined quality chocolate so narrowly: traditional origins, European technique, familiar flavor profiles, that I couldn't recognize excellence when it came from Philippine volcanic soil, banana leaf fermentation, and cacao varieties I'd never encountered. He continued. Maria's Davao cacao defeated my carefully selected Ecuadorian beans in blind tasting. Because chocolate quality isn't about following European tradition. It's about understanding your cacao, your terroir, your processing methods well enough to create complexity and balance. Belgian chocolate is magnificent. Philippine chocolate can also be magnificent. Both are legitimate. Both are sophisticated. Both deserve respect. I had to be humbled in blind tasting to learn what I should have known, that excellence in chocolate comes from mastery of craft and quality of ingredient, not from conforming to European expectations of what cacao must be. Today, Philippine cacao is recognized in international chocolate competitions not as a novelty category, but as a serious origin producing distinctive high-quality beans. Maria's chocolates are sold in specialty shops across Europe and Asia. Laurent established an exchange program between Belgian chocolate schools and Philippine cacao farmers, recognizing that both traditions had knowledge worth sharing. European technical precision combined with Philippine understanding of unique tropical cacao varieties, and in Laurent's Brussels shop, there's a bar of Maria's Davao chocolate displayed with a plaque. The chocolate I called inferior before tasting it, then praised as exceptional in blind tasting, teaching me that the greatest barrier to recognizing quality is our own certainty that we already know where quality must come from. The Belgian chocolatier who mocked Filipino Cacao now teaches that the chocolate world's focus on traditional origins had created blind spots, causing the industry to dismiss entire cacao-producing regions as inferior when they simply produced different but equally sophisticated flavors. And a chocolate made from Davao cacao that was supposed to be rustic and suitable only for local consumption now sits in display cases in Brussels, Paris, and Geneva, proving that sometimes the world's finest chocolate comes not from traditional origins Europeans have celebrated for centuries, but from Philippine volcanic soil, where cacao farmers understood that excellence isn't about imitating European standards, it's about mastering your own terroir, your own varieties, and your own craft with such depth that even blindfolded Belgian chocolatiers can't help but recognize the quality they'd dismissed when they knew where it came from.